Hello, this is the mind of Lilith, and thank you for joining me today. I hope you all are doing well. I will be discussing the Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 6 preview, the extended preview, and particularly Tiffany's scene with Sheree and Stormie's scene with Melody. So Stormie seems to have an issue with people who are inconsistent, and I'm assuming, based on the preview, if it hasn't been edited and cut and chopped and screwed, based on the preview, it seems like Stormie's upset because she and Melody had not spoken for about 4 months, and so she's like, she has an issue with inconsistency. Now, when people formulate friendships, they rarely, if ever, express their expectations for how that friendship is supposed to be experienced by both parties. And this is what Melody went through with Tisha as well. Before Melody went through her divorce, she and Tisha used to talk every day, all day apparently, because Marcel was doing his thing. He was out working, and Tisha was a stay-at-home mom, and she was bored. So she looked to Melody for some sort of comfort and support while her husband was out doing his thing in the world, right? She was at home, he was outside, she was bored, she wanted some company. Melody was there for her. When Melody got divorced, or when she found out Martel was cheating, she started to pull back to heal, or the process what had been going on for some time, for years. So Melody went through a cataclysmic event as far as her husband, finding out her husband had been cheating on her for several years at that point, and she went into a depression. She went into a space where she did not want to communicate with anyone. She didn't want to hang out with anybody, and this is understandable for most people who are empathetic. They would not expect a woman who's gone through trauma to act and behave and respond and speak to them the same way they did when they weren't going through that experience. So Melody went through a lot of trauma in the past several years, and that trauma took a toll on her friendships, particularly because her friends had expectations of her that were unreasonable or not communicated clearly. Okay, so in terms of Stormie saying that Melody is inconsistent, I'm assuming that's who she's talking about based on the preview. Again, it could have been chopped up and screwed and edited for dramatic effect. So yeah, if she's talking about Melody, consistency doesn't have to be every single day. Consistency could be, I speak to you once every 4 months. That's consistent. Consistency could be, I call you on the holidays, your birthday, Christmas, Thanksgiving. That's consistency. So Stormie's idea of consistency may not be Melody's idea of consistency. And what's happening is that people are projecting their expectations of Melody onto her and not communicating what they want from her. They're assuming the worst instead of giving her grace, because Melody is a single mother of 4 children. Yes, she shares custody with Martel, but 4 children are still a lot to have 100% of the time, right? Melody has several businesses that she's trying to start. She's done so successfully. That takes a lot of time. You know, as grown women, we have our own lives. We have children, we have jobs, we have bills, we have responsibilities, we have partners. I would not feel slighted if my friend did not speak to me for 4 months. But for me, friendship is freedom. Relationships have to have an element of freedom for me to want to engage with them. I don't want to be in a relationship where I have to check in with you occasionally to make sure that you don't think that I don't like you because I have my own life to live. I'll check in with you because I care about you, but it should not be some sort of obligation, to be honest, right? I have an issue with the obligatory relationships. I'm not your friend because I'm obligated to be your friend because we're black and we're women and I know you. I'm your friend because I like you. I like you, I respect you, you know, we have a lot in common. That's friendship for me. I don't have to agree with everything you do. I don't have to agree with everything you say. I don't have to like everything you do. That's fine. But I still respect you enough to want to be your friend. As long as you're not talking shit about me behind my back and I don't hear rumors about me that aren't untrue, you're not lying on me or lying about me, then if I don't see you for 4 months, the next time I see you, it's going to be like we're picking up where we left off. That's how I manage my friendships. Some people don't want that. Some people want more closeness, more intimacy, more contact, more communication. And there's nothing wrong with that either. Just like we have different love languages, we have different friendship languages too. It seems like Melody's friendship language is different from the people who are around her. They expect her to do things that they're not doing themselves, or they're expecting her to do things based on what they want out of a friendship, as opposed to understanding who she is as a person. When you're really somebody's friend, you can understand them and their temperament and their disposition to the point where you're not going to assume the worst. If they don't talk to you for 4 months and you know they have 4 kids, a busy life, a crazy ex-husband, they have a lot of trauma to go through, to process, to heal from. Like, listen, I get it. Some people want more closeness in their personal relationships. I understand that 100%. But we have to be cognizant of people's personality types, their love languages, their dispositions. Some people do not need to be all up under you every day or every week. That does not mean they don't like you. It means that they have other stuff going on that is a priority at the time. I am going to assume that if Stormie contacted Melody would not have given Stormie any salt. She would not have given her any animosity. She would have said, sure, we can hang out, right? She would have been open to communicate or whatever, to meet up. And I am sure if Melody contacted Stormie within that 4-month period, Stormie would have said, sure, we can hang out, we can hook up, but nobody talked to each other. So if I'm not talking to you and you're not talking to me, I'm going to assume we're good unless otherwise stated, right? I'm not going to assume the worst all the time, because people who assume the worst want a problem. They want to find something wrong in a situation where there's no problem. Okay? I'm not saying Stormie is wrong for having her expectations. She has the right to expect, or she has the right to want a certain type of friendship that Melody may not be giving her. And Melody, vice versa. She may feel like, well, this is enough. Me speaking to you once every 4 months is adequate for me, because we're both busy. You're a successful businesswoman. I'm a successful businesswoman. We have children. We have husbands. We have lives. Like, okay. It doesn't have to be personal. It doesn't have to be acrimonious. It doesn't have to be animosity between us unless otherwise stated. And this is when social media comes in. When people on social media gas things up and juice things up, and then the chasm or the silence becomes a chasm. It becomes an attack. Now me not talking to you is seen as something that is not, because somebody on social media, the followers, the fans or whatever, are like, why you ain't liking her pictures? Why you not following her no more? Why you're not talking no more? Why you don't have any pictures of her? So on and so forth. And people are instigating mess between the cast members and making mountains out of molehills. So yes, Stormie has the right to expect her friends to, show up in a certain way. But did she communicate this with Melody? And if she communicated it with Melody, would Melody accommodate her? Would Melody compromise on her, relationship style to accommodate Stormie? Could they come into a happy medium? Do I have to force this friendship? I'm not sure how often Melody spoke to Destiny when they were friends, but I'm sure they spoke quite often, okay? I'm not saying every day, but yeah. I will say this. After Melody's divorce, I can see a change in her. She has changed, which is understandable. She's been through a very traumatic event or experience. And while that situation has ended at this point, the trauma of that is still reverberating. Okay, it's still in her subconscious. She's still a bit sensitive, a bit anxious about certain things. So she may not want to be close to people at this time. If you were really her friend, you would speak to her and communicate this to her and not assume the worst and not assume she doesn't like you. Because if you assume someone doesn't like you for no reason, I'm going to think that you've done something to not be liked and you're projecting that onto the other person. So you feel guilty about something you've done. And now you're like, well, maybe you don't like me because of this. Like, I didn't say that. If I didn't say I don't like you and I don't have a problem with you, then I don't. That should be okay. That should be enough. Unless there's evidence to the contrary, that should be enough. I don't know if Melody provided Stormie with any evidence that she doesn't rock with her like that. I have no idea. Or is the evidence social media beef? People in the comment sections talking shit, trying to instigate mess between the cast members. I don't know. But Stormie, for her to say that, oh yeah, we haven't spoken in 4 months, that could be Melody's schedule. That could be her consistency, right? I'll see you on your birthday. I'll speak to you on holidays. We can hang out once every several months when I finish launching my products. When you contact me, that could be her consistency. Some people do not need to be up under you all the time to be considered friends. They may not be close friends. They may be acquaintances that speak to each other every few months and that are cordial to each other. They're not chummy, buddy like she and Destiny were. That's not the kind of dynamic that I saw in between them. So for her to expect, I'm not saying to expect, for her to feel some kind of way about not speaking to Melody for 4 months and then her not communicating that to her, how do you know what's wrong? or if there's anything wrong at all, right? Now, if Stormie reached out to Melody within that 4-month period and asked her outright, do we have an issue here? Is everything all right? Did I offend you? Did I hurt your feelings? Did you hear any rumors that, I need to clear up? Is there anything wrong between us? Because I don't know why we're not communicating. It would be Melody's responsibility, if she was her friend, to tell her the truth, whether she had a problem with her or not. That's how you have open and honest communication and healthy friendships where there aren't any secrets. People aren't being suspicious. They're not being, untrustworthy, whatever. People are lying, being deceptive. No. If I come to you honestly and ask you a genuine question, if you want to maintain this relationship, this friendship, and you don't have a problem with me, then you'll be honest and you'll say what the issue is. If you cannot communicate that and you don't communicate that, then I'm going to assume there's a problem when I find out what the actual issue is, and I'm not going to trust you anymore. So I don't think Stormie ever reached out to Melody to find out what's going on. I think she assumed that because there was silence that there was beef. For me, if there's silence, there's no beef, unless otherwise stated, because we're both busy. We're both mommies. We both have businesses. We both have careers, or whatever the case may be. We both, are building brands and running our own lives. We were never that chummy like that in the first place. Right? Not to say that I don't like you, no, but that's not the dynamic that we've had from the beginning. Now, if Melody went to speaking to Stormie every other day or every week or whatever, to not speaking to her at all, then I would be suspicious and I would say, well, what's happened? Why did our dynamic change? Are we just talking to each other when the show is filming? If that's the case, then I will move accordingly. No beef, no harm, no foul. We're just co-workers. And I'll keep it pushing. No offense, not taking it personal. Because why would I be offended by somebody treating me like a coworker when I have the ability to do the same thing? If you treat me that way, I'm going to respond in kind. I'm going to treat you like a coworker with respect. I'll give you your space. I won't expect anything personal or intimate or, friendly with you. I mean, we'll be cordial and respectful, but I wouldn't feel no kind of way if you didn't talk to me after a few months because we're coworkers. And that should be firmly established. And I'd be cool with that because it's on the table. But yeah, to project your expectations on somebody without clearly communicating what you want from them, that's an issue we have in our community. Melody may have a different friendship style than, other people around her. A lot of water signs, Cancers, Pisces, and Scorpios, we need to spend time by ourselves. It doesn't mean we don't like you unless we say so or unless we find out that you're talking shit behind our back. Then you can clarify that, or then we'll clarify it. We'll say, is there a problem? If there's a problem, then we can talk about it, and that's it. But, we should extend each other a little more grace in these situations and not assume the worst. Just because she hasn't spoken to me in 4 months, now we got beef. One of my good friends, I haven't spoken to them in a year. But when I speak to them, it's like nothing, no time has passed. When I see them, no time has passed. We pick up right where we left off. And the same thing with them and me. Like, I don't contact them. They don't contact me because that's how our dynamic is. They know they can come to me for anything. They know that I got their back, and vice versa. I will give them my last dime. They know that about me. If there's an issue, they know they can call me. And if I call them after 6-7 months, I'll check up on them and say, you all right? You can call me for anything, right? You need money, you need this, you need that. Let me know. I got you. Okay? Not know why you ain't call me for. I ain't speak to you in all this time. You ain't real. You ain't feeling me like that. Okay? Whatever people do when they're feeling salty about someone not talking to them for several months, as if that's their man. Melody is not your man. Again, it is not unrealistic to want someone, or it is not wrong to want to have a friendship with somebody where you're talking to them more than once every 4 months. But perhaps that's the dynamic that Melody wants them to have. And instead of assuming the worst, as if you've done something wrong, maybe you can say Melody doesn't see me as that close of a friend. And be okay with that, because you have your own life. You have your own husband. You have your own children, your own businesses, right? As long as she's not talking shit about you or spreading rumors about you or insulting you in some way, as long as that's not happening, then you should see it for what it is and adjust your expectations accordingly. So that if she starts to switch up and tries to reach out more and communicate more, I would ask Melody, if I were Stormie, you're not usually this communicative. You don't usually reach out to me as much as you are now. Is everything okay? Do you need help? Because I'm not used to you being as engaged with this relationship as you are now. I wouldn't say that verbatim, but yes, something must be wrong if you're contacting me constantly. Either you want something or you feel some kind of way about something that's happening in your life. And how can I help you get through that process or get through that experience, right? You wanting to find a problem with someone because there was already some other beef or some other subconscious or unconscious friction between us. Now you're going to assume the worst instead of the best, or, being more gracious towards me and saying, yeah, she's a single mother of 4 kids. She needs time. I don't have to talk to her every week or every month even. As long as when I do see her, she's respectful and I respect her and we have a healthy working relationship. And I know that, she's there for me when I need her and I'm there for her when she needs me. Then that's it. I have a full life. I don't need this person to validate my existence. And again, Stormie's not wrong for wanting a more intimate, close relationship with her friends. But Melody may not be that person, period, to anybody. She may be the kind of person that likes to spend a lot of time alone, that needs to spend time alone. She has a moon in Scorpio with Saturn in the same house. These are people who tend to enjoy their quiet time, their private time. So they may emotionally withdraw from you, even if they're in the same space as you. They're in the same room, you're having a conversation. They've already put a wall up around them, not to hurt you, but almost like to recuperate, to heal, to restore their energy, to replenish themselves. That's how a lot of water signs are. It's not personal. I think Stormie's a Leo. I could be incorrect. I need you guys to correct me if I'm wrong. I think she's a Leo. Leos are not like that. They're ruled by the sun. They're exuberant. They're charming. They're gregarious. They like to, be around people for the most part. Not all of them, especially if you have aspects to Neptune and Saturn. But a lot of Leos don't shy away from attention. They like to be the center of attention sometimes too. And again, that's a different personality style, personality type. So their friendships would align with that disposition. Big hugs. Hey girl, how you doing? Dancing in the street, partying. Yeah. Chumming it up, right? Nothing wrong with that. I'm a Leo rising. I have tons of Leos in my families. I also have tons of Scorpios in my families. 2 totally different polarities. And that's okay. That is okay as long as the communication is transparent, it is honest, it is authentic, and it is timely. Don't wait 15 years to complain about something that you could have resolved 14 and a half years ago. Okay? All right. Now on to Tiffany and Sheree. So apparently Tiffany blew up Martell's spot to Sheree in a sense. She was kind of asking Sheree, like, why would you be with a man like Martell? You don't see how dirty he's doing his wife. Now, I'm going to say this. Tiffany was wrong for that. But Tiffany is me and I am Tiffany. I've done this before and it's not intentional. It really isn't. So years and years and years ago, my brother was dating this woman, right? And he was with her for a long time, at least 5 or 6 years. She became his fiance. The last time I spoke to him at some point, she was his fiance. And then I didn't see him again for about a year and a half because, again, I'm busy. He's busy. He has his own life. No beef, no nothing. And he invites me to a party at his home. And I see another woman there. And I'm so startled because I'm expecting to see his fiance, his ex. I'm so startled, I blurt out, who is this? And I do this in front of the girl. But at the time, I'm not thinking that she would have an issue with it because I'm asking an honest question. It wasn't disrespectful, but like, who is this? Right? I didn't think about how she would feel about it and how it looked. I really didn't because it wasn't meant to be offensive. He was like, oh, this is my wife. I said, what? What happened to so-and-so? What happened to your ex? I said her name. Oh, we didn't work out. I said, huh? What happened? He didn't want to get into it. But I said this in front of his new wife. And again, I wasn't doing it to be disrespectful. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. Because in my mind, if I'm dating somebody or married to someone and I meet their family, I would love for them to have the opportunity to claim me in front of the whole family. Say, this is my wife. This is her. Right? No secrets, no shade, no hiding, no, I'll talk to you about it later. I asked him in front of her and he answered the question in front of her and that was the end of it. 6 months later, My brother calls me, invites me to a Christmas party at his new house. So yeah, she got a problem with you. I said, a problem with me for what? Because you asked me about my ex. I said, so what? I said, so what? What do you mean? What's the problem? She felt offended. She felt offended because of what? All I did was ask about somebody that you were dating for a long time before you met her. What, she thought you was a virgin or something? She knew you had a girlfriend before that, right? You're, in your 30s, whatever the case may be. Like, you're not some spring chicken. You've had girlfriends before that. What's the problem? I'm thinking she'd be okay with the fact that, her new husband has claimed his wife in front of the family and there are no secrets. Like, that's happened to me before. I've dated a guy before and I met his family and his family's like, who's this? What happened to so-and-so? You were just dating her a couple months ago. Now, that's a huge red flag. But I was very young. But I wasn't offended. I'm like, okay, he said, this is my girlfriend. We've been dating for this amount of time. So-and-so is no longer in the picture. And that was the end of it. I was not offended at all because I was like, yeah, that was his opportunity to establish our relationship, to claim it publicly. And that was it. Now, do I need that? No. But if somebody's going to ask, I'm going to look at the brighter side of things and not look for an excuse to be offended. Now, what Tiffany did was offensive. But I would have done the same thing, or at least I would have thought the same thing. Like, why are you dating this guy who's a narcissist, who's abusive, who's a troll? I think Tiffany did it to show support to Melody. I don't think she did it to be malicious, but it was tacky. It was tactless, because what was Sheree supposed to do? She knows about him, and Sheree had the perfect clap back. She was like, yeah, Martell cheated, but you cheated too. And I guess she was saying, does that mean you don't deserve a second chance? And I was like, well, she does have a point, right? I would never date Martell, but a lot of women would see Martell as a catch. In spite of his track record, in spite of the receipts and the Carfax on him, they would see him as a catch because he's relatively attractive. He has a very nice voice. He's very charming, and he has a feminine disposition. He's not an aggressive, macho kind of guy. He wants to be that way, but that's not truly who he is. So yeah, then the guys confront Tiffany. That would have been an issue for most men or most husbands. So Marceau and Martell confront Tiffany the same way they tried to confront Lou for dropping dime about Marceau's mental health issues, him saying he wasn't happy. A couple of seasons ago, they went to Las Vegas and Marceau was like, yeah, I have a lot of pressure on me. And Lou disclosed this information to the women, and they had to kind of haze him verbally, the guys, like, don't ever tell the women our business, okay? That's not what we do in our group. It's okay to lie to your wife, but not to your homies, okay? That's their code of conduct. So when Lou found out that the guys were confronting Tiffany about this, he was rightfully upset. Yes, Tiffany was wrong for what she did, but that was not their place to address it. That would have made me uncomfortable too. I understand why they did it. I get it, but Martell sounded like he was low-key threatening her in a sense, and I didn't like that at all. And so Lou was right in defending his wife. Tiffany was wrong for putting her foot in her mouth. To be quite honest, she asked Sheree what we wanted to ask too. Like, why would you end up with someone like him? I think she's having fun with Martell. I don't think she would take him seriously. I mean, he's a boy toy. You know how many men in Atlanta sell penis to old white men and women? Being a gigolo is a part of the culture in Atlanta. A lot of young, attractive black men with no marketable skills use their meat to pay their bills, the same way they've shamed women for doing for decades. And now they can do it too. So now they have no problem with it anymore. But anyway, when they confronted Tiffany, I was like, they're doing too much. I understand why Martell would feel some kind of way. But Tiffany is not obligated to protect Martell's image. She's not disclosing information that Sheree doesn't already know, which is why it's still seen as kind of tacky because Sheree already knows this. But I think Tiffany is trying to be nosy, or she's trying to defend Melody. You know what's interesting? A couple of seasons ago, Tiffany and Lou met with Martell at some place. And Tiffany was very giddy around Martell. He, ha, ha, ha. Ho, ho, ho. Smiling, cheesing, all that stuff. She was. I'm not saying she was flirting, but she didn't have the same energy towards Martell then as she did towards Sheree. Like, the questions that Tiffany was asking were not sniggling and giggling and lighthearted questions the same way she was speaking to Martell when she was with Louis. The questions that she was asking was very pointed. And perhaps she may have learned some things about Martell since that particular scene that would change her attitude towards him. But again, I understand why she did it. In my younger years, I would have done the same thing without thinking about how it's affecting the person that I'm talking about. But the intention is not to hurt anyone. The intention is to just find out why. Why would you be dating this individual? And, Aries and Scorpios tend to have a very pointed, aggressive way of asking questions, or people with Mars in the first house or Mars conjunct Mercury. They have a very pointed, direct, and aggressive, and even self-centered way of asking questions. Self-centered in the sense that I don't care about how you feel about what I'm asking you or how I'm asking you the question. Just answer the question because I want to find out the facts. That's how a lot of Scorpios and Aries behave, which is not always diplomatic and can cause problems. I'm speaking from personal experience. I don't think Tiffany was malicious in the sense that she tried to hurt Martell, but she was genuinely curious about why Sheree would be with someone like him. It just looks bad. It was tacky. I would not have done that, but I would have. I wouldn't have done that, or I would have wanted to. I would have done it a different way. What would I have said to Sheree? I would have said to Sheree, yeah, so are you taking Martell seriously? Do you think he's a viable partner for you? I would not have included the other details about, the drama and the ex-wife. No, I would have asked well, what do you want in your relationships? What are you looking for? Oh, I'm looking for fun. I'm saying, yeah, Martell's good for fun. He's good for fun. That's it. I wouldn't take him seriously. That's what I would say. That could be too much too, but I wouldn't go into the details. I would just ask well, what does she want out of the situation? And she may just want a fling, and that's okay. She may just want some booty, some penis with some muscles, that's younger, that's straight, because a lot of men in ATL are not straight. She may be tired of having to navigate through DL dynamics in Atlanta. And, like I said, this is why men like Martell are a hot commodity in cities like Atlanta, because you have a straight, attractive male who's black, bald-headed black man with muscles. This is premium real estate, right? Martell is premium real estate for a lot of older women in Atlanta who already have their kids, who got their money, and who don't really need a man for anything but penis and company. So he will always have options. I said this last year. Martell being a boulder-headed narcissist is not going to change that fact. It's not. So, I'm not surprised that Sheree likes him. I'm not surprised that Sheree is willing to overlook Martell's flaws, because I don't think she'll get as invested in a relationship with Martell the same way Melody did, because I don't think Sheree wants any more children. So she's older, more mature. She's more established in a sense, not compared to Melody, but just in general. She's a grown woman who raised 2 children and was married to an NFL player. She's probably seen and heard it all. Okay, Martell is like small potatoes compared to what she's used to dealing with. Okay, so she's just enjoying his company. Tiffany was wrong, in my opinion, for asking those questions the way that she did. But the men were wrong for stepping to her the way that they tried to step to Louis. That was wrong, because Louis even said it. Okay, the next time your wife offends something, the next time your wife offends me or my wife, I'm going to step to her, right? And then Marcel was like, no, you're not. Right, so the same energy. Do not have 2 men with an attitude confronting me about questions that I asked another woman about your man's behavior. You address that with Louis. Don't address that with Tiffany. So Tiffany was wrong, but again, she did, and she said what a lot of us wanted to do and say. So I give her kudos for that. But I do understand why Martell would feel some kind of way, and so would Sheree, because at this point, there's nothing he can do. It's almost like you're trying to ruin this man's relationships. And he's going to feel some kind of way about that. Sheree knows the dirt on Martell, and I don't think she cares. It's all over social media. So Tiffany bringing it up was probably more so for her, or she probably felt like she was defending Melody. Not that Melody asked her to do it, but some girls are like that. Like for me, I'll give you an example. Okay, so my sister dated this guy once, and he was an asshole. So I treated him like he was an asshole. I didn't pretend like I liked him because he was cool, my sister, and my sister liked him. No, I gave him the same energy he gave my sister. And he respected me for that. And my sister had a problem with it, but I did not care. So some people are like that. Some people will treat you the way that you treat their friends. So if you treat my friend like shit, I'm going to treat you like that in kind. I'm not going to give you any respect whatsoever. Now, Sheree, again, had the perfect clap back. I watched the show. You cheated too. Nobody's telling Louis not to be with you. But at the same time, you know, Martell's situation was a lot more different than Tiffany's, I think. And yeah, so yeah, I don't know if you guys agree with me or not. That's okay if you don't. But I'm going to leave it there. I look forward to reading your feedback. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will speak to you soon.